So now you should be able to hear me. So let's see. I'm trying to make sure that this is not going to loop out. So this is so in case you guys don't know, this is the first time that I'm using the PC setup here. So this is the first time I'm actually trying to get this all to work. So, oh wait, I can hear stuff now from David's laptop. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. So now we have sound. Yes. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm J Chen. This is First Attack. And this is a very special episode today because I am streaming off of the PC setup that we have. So for those of you guys who have been used to watching this on source, I mean not on source, but on high or medium or whatever because of weird problems and everything like that, I do ask that everybody try to set it up to source or highest quality, whatever you can. Let me know if there's any audio issues. Let me know if the video looks okay or whatever like that. And hopefully everything will be good to go. So, today, it's been a little bit, I mean, obviously for Monday period, because we just haven't done Mondays in forever. But also, it's been a while too that I've done an askjchensor episode. So every once, it was 2 months ago since I did Ask Jchensor, so I have some very old questions lingering here, and I want to get to as many of them as I can. These are episodes where basically people, just during the course of, you know, the year, people just keep sending me emails on the UltraChenTV@gmail.com account with the subject line of Ask Jchensor, and they just ask me all sorts of questions. So then I usually just take an episode every once in a while to go through them all one by one and answer all the questions that I can. So, okay. So let's just go ahead and get started right away here. And again, thanks everyone for tuning in. I know it's pretty rare that we have an episode on Monday, so most people are probably confused as to what's going on right now. But here we go. So, I mean, I noticed one series of questions that I do get a lot. So as I go through these questions, it'll be kind of... I don't want to call like repetitive, but there's a lot of people that just ask about, you know, they get beat up online and such like that, and what they can do to get better. Just to start off right away, I do want to mention that I've done a couple of episodes now, you know, one entitled Losing Sucks and one entitled, you know, like Street Fighter for the absolute beginners and all this stuff like that. So if you do go to our YouTube channel, hopefully you'll be able to find some help there. I'll still answer some of the questions here because they are a little bit more specifics. So let's get started here. So I'm getting an email here from Tom. He was saying that, you know, when he's playing online, what is the most effective way to battle lag during combo? Should I be keeping my rhythm consistent or look for something visual to try to match it up? And lag is an evil thing, right? It really honestly depends on what the game uses. There's two kinds of lag. There's the standard original, which is the delayed lag, where pretty much, so basically what happens is that there's two machines. They both send their information to one source. One source decides what happens and sends it back to them. And so if any inputs get dropped, or if one machine tries to communicate with the main source and can't get the information there, what happens is that sometimes the source will just hold back and say, you know what, I'm not going to send out any information till I really know what's going on. So the two machines will just start to slow down. It'll chug. And your inputs will get delayed a little bit. So you'll hit a button, it goes over there, but your button's not going to do anything because your commands are sitting on the server, and then finally when it figures out what's going on, it pushes the commands back to your machine, and then your character finally does something. That's why when you hit the button, sometimes it just takes forever for your attack to come out, or why it sometimes feels like everything is underwater, because there's a little delay. Yeah, that's not exactly how it works, but that's the best way to kind of describe it in an easy way to understand. What GGPO does is that on both ends of the clients, there's a little bit of save states. So it keeps saving its state as it's going, and when it loses contact with the server, it stops. So basically, it lets you keep going. So your inputs keep going and the game keeps going, but when it syncs up, it then figures out what exactly is supposed to happen, and then it'll go back, calculate back to when the desync happened, play out what was supposed to happen based off of what inputs were pressed in, and then basically switch the game to what it was supposed to be. That's why when you play on a lot of GGP netcode, when you play GGPO netcode, sometimes things jump because the game will think something is supposed to happen, but behind the scenes it does something else, and then it updates what's going on your screen. So there's positives and negatives to both of these. The first method that I was talking about creates slowdown and input lag. When you have slowdown and input lag, it's really, really hard to adjust for the lag. You just have to learn to start hitting buttons early. You just have to learn to start doing combos quicker than it's supposed to be. And if the lag gets worse, then that delay gets worse and worse and worse. So, to be honest with you, there's really no great way to battle lag. I know that in Marvel, and I heard in Ultra Street Fighter 4, so in Marvel, if you remember, in training mode, there is that little setting that you can simulate lag. I think they're going to put that in Ultra Street Fighter 4, which basically makes it so that every time you hit a button, it waits a few frames before the button actually comes out. So that way you can practice playing online that way in training mode. That is a way to help you try to learn. Otherwise, you just have to get used to it. And the nice thing about Street Fighter is that the game is not particularly combo heavy, not like Marvel is, and not like Guilty Gear, which requires ridiculous timing and such. So you can kind of skirt around it by just trying to learn matchups and stuff like that. GGPO, because it always does everything on your side and then calculates what was supposed to happen later, your input timing is always going to be the same. So if you're playing a game on GGPO such as Skullgirls, you can do the timing as you would offline, and if there was a lag, it may get reverted to a different state so that you actually weren't landing the combo. But if you actually were landing the combo, then your timing of doing the combo is going to be accurate. So in that case, in the case of GGPO, you definitely get on bad network spikes and stuff, you get things jumping around a lot more, but your inputs are always going to be consistent. So if you're playing a game on GGPO, there's really not much to worry about battling lag during combos. So you can just do it, because no matter what the opponent enters, they can mash their controller all they want, but they're in the middle of the combo, so the server is always going to calculate, okay, you know what, he's in the combo, so nothing he's touching is going to affect it, and you can do your combo on your merry way. But if you're playing Street Fighter, which I'm sure that's the most likely game that you are playing, Tom, then the best thing to do, honestly, is just, you know, learn to start hitting buttons earlier and try not to, like, you have to understand that you are playing with lag and not to get frustrated if lag is causing you problems and such like that. So, okay. So let's go to the next one. Yoshi is asking me that his friend plays a Vortex character, Abel, who's not really a Vortex character, to be honest with you, because he doesn't have as many, I mean, I guess he has a small Vortex, but it's not as lethal as it is with like Kami or Akuma. But he has gotten to the habit of not blocking and just guessing on how to escape. He's asking how can he get rid of this habit of not blocking and still play against his friend where blocking is not an option. So yeah, I mean, this is a problem when you play against grapplers. You try to essentially shell up, and then they throw you. So when they throw you, now all of a sudden you're freaking out, and you are scared to block, because every time you block, they throw you. And then when you hit buttons, you just get hit and such like that, and you end up mashing, and it doesn't feel very strategic. To be honest with you, the way that I would combat this is that what you're trying to do right now, one of the things that you have to understand about Street Fighter is that you can't defend against everything. Your defense is never going to be perfect. If your defense could be perfect, then the game would be dumb. It would be boring, because everyone would be able to defend against everything, right? So that's not good. So what you have to understand is whenever you get put into a situation, you have to understand where the key mix-up situations are. For example, if you block Abel's step kick and he dashes forward, as soon as that happens, this is a key moment here. What's happening for a lot of players is they block the step kick, they see Abel dash, and then they freak out. They're like, I don't know if he's going to throw me. I don't know if he's going to attack. I don't know what to do. I'm just going... and then by then, you've already gotten thrown or hit or whatever like that. The whole point of characters like Abel is that he gets you in these mix-up situations. In fact, that's the whole point of Vortex, is they force these mix-ups on you. And they're mix-ups for a reason. They're guessing games. They are guessing games. And what you should do in these situations is not panic and just start trying to read your opponent's pattern. Pick a decision and go with that decision. And if your opponent is right and you are wrong, so let's say he does step kick, dashes forward, and you try to, punch him and he ends up EX tornado throwing you because it's got hit invincibility, don't get mad. Don't get frustrated like, I don't know what to do. Basically, what you do is you accept that you guessed wrong. Occasionally, you're going to guess right. And the thing about it is, what you want to do now is remember all those key situations. So after the step kick dash, after he tornado throws you and rolls to one of the sides of you, and you don't know which side he's going to try to crouch fierce you, all those situations present a guessing game. And you just have to be able to read your opponent. Is my opponent the kind of person who's going to try to tornado throw me 3 times in a row? Have I given him the impression that all I'm doing is blocking? So if you block this amazing poke sequence, like you're blocking short, he wheel kicks, you block, and then you sweeps and you block, and he runs up to you and he step kicks, you have to read that situation and understand that your opponent is probably frustrated that you're blocking a lot, and so he's going to go for the tornado throw now. So in that situation, you can backdash, you can neutral jump, you can do something to get away from that, right? If he reads it and beats you, then, more power to him. There's nothing you can do but applaud him that he actually defeated you. So that's what you have to do in those kind of situations. Recognize those key moments. Again, this is a term that I've taken from Ryan Hunter. Follow him on Twitter, OS Ryan Hunter. Very smart fighting game player. He talked about these key moments. You have to recognize the key moments and understand the flow of the match. Understand the pattern, understand the rhythm, and most importantly, just understand who you're fighting against. In one of the previous episodes, I talked about the rule of 3, where someone always does 2 things and then the third one they change. That's something you could do. They throw you when you get up. They throw you when you get up again. Next time, they're not going to throw you. So do the thing that's going to beat an attack or something like that. It's really just about reading the pattern, reading the moment, reading the situation, and most importantly, reading your opponent. So let's go back here. Let's get to the next question here. Sorry, I'm going to try to barrel through these pretty fast because there's a lot of questions, and I always feel bad that it takes so long for me to get to them, and I don't want to cut too much into David's time here. So Chris asks, kind of a similar situation, what can I do against people who have a setup when I wake up? They can either cross up, grab, shoryuken, or media attack. I know I can block all those, but if I do, they grab me to no end. What do I do? So again, very same situation. You just have to understand what your opponent's options are. This is actually one of the, I'll stem the answer into a little different direction here because this is also very important as well. So again, read the situation, read your opponent, blah, blah, blah. But more importantly, understand what options your opponent's character has. A lot of times, a character feels way more violent and more oppressive if you don't know what their options are, because it just feels like they're doing stuff and you're dying and you're losing all over the place, right? And so you're just getting bodied. So understanding what your opponent character is capable of is very important. That'll help you in this situation as well. So for example, let's talk about Cammy here. Let's talk about her vortex, right? You get hit by a combo by a drill, you do a quick rise, and then she crosses you up with a dive kick and she beats you up, right? I've said this a lot of times on this stream and on many other streams and just in private conversations with people. If Cammy does a combo that ends in drill, and see, you're only going to know this if you play Cammy, which I do play her a lot, so I understand that this is how she kind of works. If you get hit by a drill, and then she jumps and does a dive kick, to time it as an ambiguous cross-up when you do a quick rise is not that hard. It's very simple for a Cammy to do once she practices that enough. So then don't quick rise. Don't quick rise after the drill. And if she jumps, the timing that she's going to do an ambiguous dive kick is going to be a specific time. She's going to see that you didn't do a quick rise, so she's going to jump up and do another ambiguous cross-up. Now, if you're not a Cammy player, you're just like, this sucks, I'm in this vortex, this is a bad situation, I'm going to die. But if you know Cammy and you play her really well, play her a lot, or just understand how she works, you're going to know that the timing to get an ambiguous dive kick, and if she jumps and times another ambiguous dive kick, you can dash under that because she's too close. Once she does the first dive kick, she lands so close to you that if she jumps up and tries to do another ambiguous one, she kind of has to wait, and she has to do it at a weird height, and you can dash forward and get away from that situation. So smart Cammies are going to know that. They're going to jump and dive kick early on the second one, but now you don't have to worry about whether it's going to be ambiguous or not. You know, or what a Cammy can do is if they notice you stop quick rising off of the drill, they're going to purposely do the first dive kick short and set up another ambiguous dive kick on the second side. But then you can quick rise and mess her up in that situation. The whole point of this whole thing is that if you know what your opponent's options are, you have a way better chance of escaping it, right? If in the Abel example we talked about step kick, right? Step kick, he's minus, I think, 2 or minus 1 on block or something like that. And basically, your low jab will pretty much beat everything that he does except for EX tornado throw. So if you know that about Abel after you block a step kick, low jab is going to be one of your best options. Because your low jab is going to beat his fastest normal, your low jab is going to beat his regular throw, your low jab is going to beat his tornado throw even. The only thing it's not going to beat is the EX tornado throw. So for example, if you see Abel has no meter and you block the step kick and he dashes forward, just low jab. And it's going to be very hard for him to deal with that situation. Just little things like that. If you know these things about your character, another great one for Abel is tornado throw, dash, jumping forward. Looks like an ambiguous cross-up, always a cross-up, right? If you know these things about your opponent character, you can learn to fight them better. So not only do you want to, so back to the previous question, learn key moments and just read the situation, read your opponent. And then to this question, also understand what your opponent's character can do. So you can actually, oh yeah, he's right. Duo's right. You won't beat EX change of direction either. So yeah, so the EX change of direction will absorb it and beat you up. But again, requires meter. So yeah, there's two advices right there on how to deal with mix-ups. Know what your opponent's options are. Know what your options are too. And then also make sure you just understand what the key situations are and learn how to deal with them. So Safe Jump asks a really good question here. Do we have to read every guide on every character? No. And this is where online play becomes very important. Because you play online and someone does something to you, you're like, I don't know what to do in this situation. So then go into training mode, play the computer dummy, and set him up to do that situation. Figure out how to stop it. Learn as you go. Whenever you run into a new situation, figure out how to stop it. And that is the beauty of online right now, is that you'll end up playing Fuertes. You're going to run into some Fuerte. You're going to run into a Blanca. You're going to run into all these random characters every once in a while. And when you do, and you get hit by something, you can totally go and research it. So, very convenient. It's obviously something we couldn't do back in the arcade days. We just had to hold that, get to the end of the line, and hope he does it to us again. Hope he wins, so that when you get back onto the machine, he's there. So it was really hard to figure things out. It was really hard back then. So All right, so let's go to the next question. So someone was just asking, so Charlie's asking here, what do you think in Ultra if there was an option to choose no Ultra as a fourth option? So you get just like more EX meter or something like that. He kind of likes how the character select screen has become a metagame in itself in Ultra, and he thinks that that was something that would be kind of cooler. It is a neat option. It's way more like isms in Alpha 3. Unfortunately, I do not think it's something that's good right now because one of the biggest problems of CVS2 and for Alpha 3 was the modes, Xism, Vism, Aism, and then of course CAP, SNK groove, and CVS2. It was because if you didn't know fighting games, you would hit start, pick your characters, and then all of a sudden, no, it would ask you to pick your groove. And you just look at the screen, you're like, I don't, what the heck do any of these things do? Like, you have no idea. Like, literally, the only way you could find out was by going to GameFAQs and finding guides on these games before. Especially the guides written by one jchensor for both Alpha 3 and CVS2, which are godlike. But the thing about it is, though, I've actually had someone email me and say when they went to pick Ultras, you know, they play Fei Long, and it's like Rekka Shingeki or whatever, and the other one is like Shingeki Kyaku or whatever, and it's like, what the heck does that even mean? There's not even a description, like this is a defensive, this is offensive. The more options you give people, unfortunately, I think the harder it is for a lot of people to get into it. This is, though, a big presentation problem that the games themselves need to do a better job explaining when you're picking these things. So definitely should probably stay away from that right now, especially since we are in a phase of trying to get a lot of people into fighting games. So Sammy asks here that, you know, he's a player, he feels that he's very smart, and well, he knows a lot of, you know, he knows a lot about the games that he plays. However, he feels like he has problem thinking while he's playing. Like he has a problem concentrating and trying to make decisions. While he's not playing and he's watching, he's able to break down games and matchups and even get into the heads of players, but while he is playing, it's just really hard for him to concentrate and think about situations. So is there any way of practicing what he calls active thinking, which is constantly thinking and playing at the same time? That's really hard. That is probably one of the hardest things to do in fighting games. And in fact, I mean, like, it sucks because for commentators like me and David, we can sound super smart because we're like, oh, he should have did this, oh, he should have did this, or whatever like that. Dude, if I was playing, I would be like, I mean, it's so funny because, like, one of my favorite ones is that I'll always say, like, no, why'd you jump? You were in the lead. Why are you going in? Oh, what are you doing? Doing commentating all the time, and then when I play, I'll have a lead and I'll be going in, and then like I'll be fighting a bison. The only way I'm gonna lose is if I jump and he gets to jump strong on me, and then I'll jump and he gets to jump strong on me. It's hard. It's super hard to think while you play, and in fact, I talked about this, I know, a long time ago in one of the other First Attack episodes, but a lot of top players, what makes them so good is that they have just been in every situation so often that they don't really have to think about it anymore. In fact, one of the previous episodes I talked about how you want to keep putting yourself into a situation and recognizing these moments so that you don't have to think so much anymore. So that what you're supposed to do is just a natural result that just comes into your head, so it's very easy to handle that situation. That's the best way to go. However, a lot of top players do think while they play. It's very hard, and you can't blame yourself if you're not